Hi, this is Irma Francis. I wanted to talk a little bit about being on the spiritual path and what that means to me, how it shows up in my life, things I do to keep that connection to my commitment to being on a spiritual path, and what can sometimes disrupt that or the distractions or the things that the appearances in life that sometimes show up that um, can temporarily take me away from that sense of flow and connection and wholeness, because that really is how I would define being on a spiritual path is a sense of wholeness, connection, and being in touch with the flow of my essence and staying true to that, which can sometimes seem to be challenging. Um, it's a Buddhist teaching that life is suffering, and also that the end of suffering is the end of all desire. And I believe that that's true, but I also believe that and know and understand that there is one main desire and passion that has been there for me for a long, long time in my life. And that is to stay true to, committed to, and connected to the essence of my true self, what I would call the soul. And that word desire actually means of the Father. So to me, the Father symbolizes and stands for the source of all that is. So that is my one and only desire, because from that place and staying connected to that, I can live an authentic life and I don't feel kind of split, as if there were two of me. And that voice in the head, that conditioned recording that sometimes can play out, isn't necessarily in alignment with the essence of who we truly are. And it's important to understand that and to be able to recognize that voice in the head, and where is it coming from? Are the thoughts that you are having truly your thoughts? And is there clarity within those thoughts? And also, when you're staying connected and staying in that flow and in your wholeness, there's a flow within your whole being, so it doesn't feel like there is a thinking mind identifying who you are. It's one flow. There isn't a way to identify yourself through the thoughts you are having necessarily. It's being in that flow, wholeness, and connection, that your thoughts are in alignment. Your thoughts, feelings, every part of you is in alignment with that wholeness, flow, and connection. And so life becomes very effortless. Doesn't mean that there aren't challenges and that everything goes our way all the time, because that's certainly not the case. But it becomes easier and easier to return to equanimity. And so some of the things that I can see and have seen as challenges that have shown up for me and for other people that I know. One of those things is being kind of on this hamster wheel of life. And that hamster wheel, again, is something that takes us away from wholeness, connection, and flow. And that hamster wheel can easily be identified as trying to move away from pain and towards pleasure. And it's kind of going back and forth. And that's, the ego mind kind of takes us onto that hamster wheel, and it spins and it spins and it spins, because moving away from pain and towards pleasure, it's always a push pull, and it's never really arriving at a place of peace and presence. And besides wholeness, flow, and connection, I would also add those things bring us fully into this present moment. Where everything kind of integrates and comes together. If you've ever had that feeling of deja vu, where you feel like, wait, I've said this before, this has happened before. To me, that feeling of deja vu is kind of the past, future, and present day coming together into one. And when we're living from our essence, from our soul, it's an ongoing deja vu experience, because there's a knowingness that comes with that. So that's one thing that can get in the way, being on that hamster wheel of avoiding pain and trying to move towards pleasure. Another thing that can get in the way is judgment. Judging ourselves or others or life itself. Judgment always brings separation. Discernment does not. Judgment is, this is right and wrong, period. And so that's a judgment on something outside of ourselves and judging it as right or wrong overall. Discernment is being connected to that wholeness, flow, and connection, and discerning, does this feel right for me or not right for me? And so that has everything to do with kind of staying in our own energy space and realizing, this isn't resonating with me right now. There's no judgment in that. It's not about anything outside of yourself. It's about what you feel, what you discern is kind of working with that essence of who you are, that to keep you in that wholeness, flow, and connection. And discernment is absolutely key in staying on the spiritual path and committed to that. Also, another thing is knowing the difference between the thinking mind and the working mind. The thinking mind can sometimes take over. I would also kind of call that the conditioned mind, the programmed mind. And there's almost like an automatic to that. But that also leads to separation and can lead to suffering, because the thinking mind really is convinced that life should go the way it's telling us it should go. And so there's always almost like a projection out of the present moment into the future, or kind of going back to the past and reliving that. Whereas the working mind just works. It's a trusting that and knowing that and allowing that. What we need to know in the moment arises, and we discern, we listen, and we follow, and we pay attention. Is this keeping me in the flow? Is this keeping me in wholeness? Is this keeping me in that connection to what I know to be true? And it's effortless. It's not something you have to make happen. It just naturally, the working mind just works. So that's one thing. Another thing would be a belief that there is an external world and an internal world, and they're somehow separate and different. To stay connected in the flow, in wholeness, and to kind of letting the working mind work, allowing life to unfold, there is a recognition or a shift that can happen where you realize that whatever you are experiencing as the external world, again, creates a separation. But there is a shift that can happen where you understand that however you are perceiving life as being something external and separate from you is really a perception that is coming from you. And that separation really isn't there. And it's always returning to this place of oneness, wholeness, and connection. Not feeling separate from, not feeling like there are two of you, the one that thinks and the one that identifies as this persona and something else. That should be integrated into one, which brings you into the flow. Another thing would be to believe that someone or something outside of ourselves is causing us to feel or think a certain way. And that really is never true. Never true. Doesn't mean we don't need to sometimes discern, this doesn't feel right to me, and find ways to move in a different direction. But no one or no thing outside of ourselves makes us think or feel a certain way. Whatever we think and feel is up to us, and we choose it. And that can be hard to recognize and accept, but it actually brings us to a place of empowerment and not feeling like a victim of anyone or a victim of life itself somehow. So those are just a few things that I wanted to share today. Yeah. Also, I think, at least in our Western world, we don't value contentment. It seems like we don't value being content, and we're always wanting more and more, trying to become something different. And life does evolve, and we evolve in our conscious awareness. Really, that can happen from a place of allowing life to unfold. Doesn't mean contentment, doesn't mean that we become stagnant and don't move. But we're doing it from a place of wholeness. There's an understanding that it's almost an organic, natural kind of feeling of trusting that connection, trusting that flow, and being in alignment with that. And it will never lead us to the wrong place, to a place that doesn't feel in alignment. It's kind of like fighting these things of our true essence, our flow, our connection, our wholeness. Fighting it would kind of be like a ball in a pinball machine. We're always just kind of bouncing around, bouncing around, bouncing around, and when we get to the top and we think we've arrived, falls back down to the bottom, and we have to hit the levers and get that ball going again. And yeah. So we never really feel like we've arrived and that we can relax into what is. And that relaxing into what is doesn't mean stagnation, doesn't mean growth doesn't happen or evolving doesn't happen. It does. It just happens in an effortless, unfolding, and allowing way. We're kind of taught that life is hard and kind of dog eat dog world, step on someone to get yourself higher, and competition. And that's what we're taught. I don't think that's the way we have to continue. A couple other things come to mind, along with judgment, things that can take us away from the essence of our true self. Besides judgment would also be criticism and comparing. Again, those things bring separation. So something to keep in mind as your day unfolds are these few little things. Am I judging, criticizing, comparing others, life itself, or my own self? And kind of just pay attention to that. Pay attention to what's going on in your thoughts, feelings, and actions that are bringing you to a place of separation, or are they bringing you to a place of wholeness, connection, and that sense of flow within your own being, flow within life itself, kind of a circular energy. where there isn't a separation. So those are just a few things to keep in mind, and just wanted to wish everyone a happy spring. And for those who celebrate Easter, happy Easter. And I'll talk to you again soon. Have a beautiful day.